While preppers spend thousands on tactical gear and high-tech gadgets, the most valuable survival tools are sitting on dollar store shelves right now, ignored, overlooked, and costing less than your morning coffee. What if I told you that 7 items, each under $1, could mean the difference between thriving and barely surviving when disaster strikes? In this video, you'll discover 7 dirt-cheap items that become survival gold in a crisis. Items so valuable, they'll be the first to disappear when things go sideways. No tactical fantasies, no fear-mongering, just real-world survival strategies that actually work when the system breaks down. Stick around until the end, because the last item on this list is probably sitting in your junk drawer right now, and you've been throwing it away. Welcome to Crisis Horizon, where we focus on smart prepping strategies that don't break the bank. If you're serious about preparing for what's coming, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our real-world survival tips. Let's talk about something most preppers get wrong from day one. Walk into any survival store and you'll see walls of expensive gear, tactical backpacks for $300, military-grade flashlights, high-end water filtration systems. The prepper industry wants you to believe that survival is a credit card transaction, that you need to drop serious cash to be ready for disaster. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. When the lights actually go out and the shelves are empty, it's not the price tag that matters. It's not the brand name, or the tactical coding, or the 5-star reviews. What matters is adaptability. What matters is resourcefulness. What matters is making the most of what you have. The best survival tools aren't locked behind premium prices. They're hiding in plain sight at your local dollar store, overlooked by even the most seasoned survivalists. While everyone else is maxing out their credit cards on the latest bug-out gear, smart preppers are quietly stocking up on items that cost $1 or less but become priceless when disaster strikes. Think about it this way. In a real collapse scenario, you don't need gear that looks good. You need gear that works. Gear that serves multiple purposes. Gear that's lightweight enough to carry. Gear that's so cheap you can stock up without guilt. The fancy tactical knife might make you feel prepared, but a handful of dollar store items could literally save your life. This is where most people fail. They focus on acquisition instead of adaptability. They think survival is about buying more stuff, when it's really about seeing differently. It's about training your eye to spot function where others see trash. It's about recognizing that the plastic tablecloth in aisle 3 has more survival applications than most items in a $2,000 bug-out bag. So let's shift your mindset right now. Stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like a survivor, because the 7 items we're about to cover aren't just cheap alternatives to expensive gear. In many cases, they're actually superior. They're lighter, more versatile, and available everywhere. When everyone else is fighting over the last tactical flashlight at the outdoor store, you'll already be prepared with items nobody else fought to grab. Let's start with something so simple, so overlooked, that most people would laugh if you told them it's survival gear. I'm talking about a plastic tablecloth. Yes, the kind you pick up for birthday parties and backyard barbecues. Right now, you can grab one for $1, maybe less. Most people see party decor. Smart preppers see one of the most versatile survival tools ever created. Picture this. Disaster strikes and you need shelter fast. That plastic tablecloth becomes an instant rain barrier. Tape it over a leaky roof, drape it between trees with some cordage, and you've got emergency protection from wind and water. It's not pretty, but it works. And in survival, working is all that matters. But shelter is just the beginning. Lay that same tablecloth on the ground, and suddenly you've got a waterproof barrier between you and the wet earth. Anyone who's ever tried to sleep on cold, damp ground knows this isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Hypothermia doesn't care about your tactical gear, it cares about whether you stay dry. Need to collect water? Anchor that tablecloth in a shallow pit and you've got a rainwater collection system. Need emergency clothing? Cut a hole in the middle for an instant poncho. Need to protect your gear? Wrap it up. Need a clean surface for food prep when sanitation has gone out the window? There's your sterile workspace. Here's what makes this so valuable. You can cut a single tablecloth into multiple pieces, and suddenly you're solving problems for your entire group. Ground liners for everyone, seat covers to stay dry, insulation sheets for shelter walls. You can even use brightly colored tablecloths as distress signals or trail markers if you need to navigate or call for help. And let's talk about barter value. When everything falls apart and we're back to trading goods, clean, water-resistant material becomes gold. People need to stay dry. They need to protect their supplies. They need ground cover. A plastic tablecloth addresses all of these needs, and it weighs almost nothing. You could carry 5 or 6 of these in your pack and barely notice the weight. Try doing that with tarps or canvas. The dollar store tablecloth isn't a backup option. In many scenarios, it's the smarter choice. Now let's talk about fastening and securing gear, because in survival, everything needs to stay put. Your shelter needs to hold together. Your gear needs to stay attached to your pack. Your supplies need to be organized and accessible. This is where 2 incredibly simple items become absolutely critical: mini bungee cords and zip ties. You can usually find these in multi-packs at the dollar store. Small, flexible tension cords with hooks on each end. They might look insignificant, but these little tools are survival royalty. When you need to secure a tarp over your shelter, you don't have time to mess with complicated knots or fumble with rope. Hook, stretch, done. 3 seconds and your shelter is reinforced. Building a modular shelter setup, mini bungees let you snap tent poles into place and adjust tension on the fly. Need to hang food away from animals? Bungee it up. Need to lash gear to your pack? Instant attachment points. Lost your belt? A bungee cord fixes that. Need to strap a flashlight to a stick for hands-free light? There's your solution. But here's what most people miss. Organization matters in survival. When you're stressed, exhausted, and running on adrenaline, you need to know where everything is. Mini bungees let you air dry clothes on a line, secure gear inside your vehicle so it doesn't shift around, and bundle items for easy transport. They keep chaos from taking over. And the barter value? Clean packs of tension cords are highly tradable. Everyone needs to secure something. Everyone needs organization. Everyone needs fast, reliable fastening that doesn't require tools or expertise. Plus, they're safer than rope. No sharp knots digging into your hands, no unraveling ends, no complicated hitches to remember when your brain is fried from stress. And if you need more length, just daisy chain them together. Need more tension? Double them up. They're endlessly adaptable. Now, zip ties. If you've ever done any kind of organization or cable management, you know what these are. Plastic strips with a ratcheting lock that only goes one direction. You can grab bags of these at the dollar store for next to nothing. Most people use them once and forget about them. In a collapse scenario, zip ties become one of your most underrated survival tools. First, they're fast. When you need to secure something right now, a broken strap, a shelter rig, a piece of equipment, you thread it through and pull. Done. No knots, no fumbling, no second guessing. That speed matters when conditions are deteriorating fast. Second, they're silent. In a situation where security matters, where you don't want to announce your presence, zip ties don't clank or scrape like metal hardware. They're discreet. You can secure a tent zipper, lock a cabinet, or fasten gear without making a sound. Medical applications? Absolutely. You can anchor splints, seal tourniquets, or brace injured fingers. They provide firm, adjustable pressure without requiring sophisticated first aid knowledge. In an emergency, simple often beats complex. Organization is huge too. Bundle cords, wires, or gear into manageable sections. Set up drying lines, hang lanterns, lash branches together for makeshift stretchers. Every single one of these tasks becomes faster and easier with zip ties. And just like bungees, the barter value is significant. Pre-cut, single-use fasteners that solve immediate problems, people will trade for those. Plus, they're so lightweight you can carry hundreds without noticing. Together, mini bungee cords and zip ties give you control in chaos. They let you repair, organize, and secure when everything is falling apart. Don't underestimate them. Now let's shift gears and talk about something most people throw away without a second thought: disposable foam plates and cups. You see these at every party, every picnic, every casual gathering. They're cheap, they're light, they're considered trash. But in a survival situation, foam tableware becomes an essential asset. Start with the obvious: hygiene. When water is scarce or contaminated, washing dishes becomes a serious problem. Every drop of clean water is precious, and you're not going to waste it scrubbing plates when you might need it for drinking or medical care. Foam plates and cups solve this instantly. Use once, toss it, move on. No water needed, no soap required, no disease spreading from contaminated dishes. But that's just the beginning. Foam is an insulator. When you're holding hot coffee or soup, foam cups protect your hands from burning. When you're trying to keep a cold drink cool, foam slows the temperature transfer. These aren't small conveniences when you're dealing with extreme conditions and your body is already stressed. Little things like not burning your hands matter.
Now think beyond food. Need to protect fragile gear? Use foam plates as insulation pads or shock absorbers. Need a windbreak for a small flame? Foam shields work. Need to stabilize a camp stove on uneven ground? Stack some plates underneath. Need to scoop something? Use a cup. Need to create a makeshift strainer? Poke holes in a cup. The applications multiply once you start seeing these items as tools instead of trash. Medical uses get really interesting. Cut foam into strips and you've got padding for splints. You've got soft material for bandaging. You've got lightweight sterile surfaces for treatment when you're working in field conditions. When someone is injured and you need to improvise, foam tableware gives you options. And once again, barter value enters the picture. In a sustained crisis, families need dishes, mobile camps need tableware, medical operations need clean, disposable supplies. A stack of unused foam plates and cups becomes a tradable commodity that solves immediate daily problems for people. They're stackable, they're lightweight, and they cost pennies. When disease control and morale are on the line, when people are exhausted and stressed and need to feel like they're maintaining some level of civilization, clean tableware matters more than you'd think. Now let's talk about aluminum baking trays. You know the kind, thin, disposable metal pans marketed for cooking and baking. You can grab them at the dollar store in multi-packs. Most people use them once and forget about them.
Most people use them once for a casserole and toss them. That's a mistake. In survival, aluminum trays are multifunctional metal marvels. Cooking is the obvious application. These trays are durable enough for roasting over an open fire, heating water, or baking food. They conduct heat well, and they're lightweight enough to pack multiple trays without weighing down your kit. When you need to prepare food in primitive conditions, aluminum trays give you a reliable sanitary cooking surface. But let's go deeper. Water purification. You can use an aluminum tray to build a solar still, a system that uses evaporation and condensation to purify contaminated water. You can also use it to catch rainwater directly. Both of these applications can save your life when clean water is unavailable. Heat reflection is another game changer. Position an aluminum tray behind a heat source, and suddenly you're directing warmth exactly where you need it. Trying to dry wet clothes? Reflecting heat speeds up the process. Trying to warm a specific area of your shelter? The tray becomes a reflector panel. These aren't minor improvements. In cold conditions, efficient heat management can prevent hypothermia. Gear protection and shelter reinforcement are huge too. Need to patch a hole in your shelter? Cut a section of aluminum tray and secure it over the damage. Need to reinforce a weak point where stress is concentrating? Aluminum provides structural support. You can even create improvised armor plating for critical gear that needs protection from the elements or impact. Signaling is another critical application. Polish an aluminum tray and you've got a signal mirror that can be seen for miles. Use it as a reflective panel to catch attention from rescue aircraft or search teams. In a situation where communication systems are down, being able to signal your location could mean the difference between rescue and being stranded. First aid uses include creating curved splints for broken bones or using the flat surface as a sterile workspace for medical treatment. The metal is easy to clean and you can shape it to fit specific needs. And barter, absolutely. You can trade whole trays or cut them into pieces for specific applications. Fuel reflectors, food dishes, insulation panels, water purifiers. People need these functions and aluminum delivers them all in a lightweight, stackable package. The versatility here is stunning. This isn't just a baking tray. It's a cooking tool, a water system, a heat manager, a signal device, and a construction material all in one. And you can buy them for $1. Now we're getting into items that most people literally throw away. Let's talk about garden hoses, specifically old ones. That cracked, worn-out hose sitting behind your shed or in your garage? Don't toss it. In survival, that hose is a multi-tool that can solve problems you haven't even thought of yet. Water transport is the most obvious use. You can use a garden hose as a siphon to move water from one container to another using gravity. You can create a gravity-fed water system from an elevated source. You can draw water from ponds, tanks, or wells without needing to carry heavy buckets. When your body is already exhausted from survival stress, anything that reduces physical labor is valuable. But the hollow, flexible structure of a hose opens up dozens of other applications. Need padding for tool handles? Slide a section of hose over the grip. Need to protect yourself from sharp edges on gear? Line them with hose segments. Need to reinforce shelter frames without damaging the materials? Wrap connection points with hose. The rubber provides cushioning and protection. Medical applications get creative. Use hose segments as splint braces to hold broken bones in position. Use them as limb separators if someone needs to prevent limbs from touching due to injury or infection. Use them as tourniquet pads to distribute pressure more safely. These aren't textbook medical techniques, but in field conditions, improvisation saves lives. Need to transfer liquids? Cut a hose at an angle and you've got a funnel or spout. Need to boost to fire? Use a hose segment as a manual air tunnel to blow oxygen directly onto kindling. Need to communicate quietly across a short distance? Old garden hose works as a primitive speaking tube. It sounds low-tech, but low-tech works when high-tech fails. Here's where it gets really interesting. You can cut a garden hose into custom lengths for specific uses. Need bushcraft sleeves to protect rope from abrasion? Cut short sections. Need fuel transfer tools? Medium lengths. Need tension clamps? Small rings. Every piece has value, which makes old hose segments excellent barter material. People can specify exactly what length they need for their specific problem. The key insight here is simple: long, hollow, flexible, and waterproof. That combination of properties makes garden hoses incredibly adaptable. When systems break down and you need to improvise solutions, a beat-up old garden hose becomes a lifeline. Now we're going to talk about something that sounds ridiculous until you understand the mindset: duct tape. Everyone knows duct tape is essential survival gear. It's been called the ultimate repair tool, and for good reason. But we're not talking about the tape itself. We're talking about the empty, cardboard roll at the center. That tube most people throw in the trash without thinking. In survival, even scraps have value. That cardboard core is dry, densely rolled material. It's excellent tinder for starting fires. When everything around you is wet and you're struggling to get a flame going, that cardboard core can be your ignition source. You can also use it as a slow-burning mini-log to extend your fire when fuel is scarce. Structural applications are surprising. Use cores as spacers to maintain gaps in construction. Use them as supports for splints when you need to immobilize an injury.
Use them as shock absorbers to protect fragile items from impact. They're rigid enough to provide structure, but light enough to carry without burden. Organization is another smart use. Thread cordage through the center of the core, and suddenly you've got a compact storage spool. No more tangled rope or cord cluttering your pack. Everything stays neat and accessible. Gear protection gets interesting too. Got a knife or sharp tool that needs a makeshift sheath? Slide it into a duct tape core. The cardboard protects you from accidental cuts and protects the blade from damage. It's not permanent, but in an emergency, it works. Need a funnel for transferring small items like seeds, screws, or pellets? Cut the core diagonally and you've got a pouring spout. Need to diffuse light? Set a candle or small flashlight inside the core. It softens the glow and helps preserve your night vision, which is critical when you're trying to maintain awareness of your surroundings in the dark. And barter? Fire-starting materials are always valuable. Cord organizers help people manage their gear. These aren't glamorous items, but they solve real problems, and that makes them tradable. The deeper lesson here is about mindset. Empty doesn't mean useless. Trash doesn't mean worthless. When you start seeing every item through the lens of potential function, your survival capabilities multiply. That cardboard core represents the shift from consumer thinking to survivor thinking. It's about recognizing that in crisis, everything has value if you know how to use it. Let's bring this all together, because there's a bigger picture here that goes beyond individual items. When society breaks down, when supply chains collapse, when currency loses meaning, barter becomes essential. The ability to trade for what you need becomes a survival skill as important as fire starting or water purification. This is where these dollar store items reveal their true power. They're not just for your personal use, they're tradable assets. Think about what people actually need in a crisis. Ways to stay dry, ways to secure gear, ways to eat without spreading disease, ways to cook, ways to collect water, ways to build shelter. Every single item we've discussed addresses these fundamental needs. Clean plastic tablecloths become high-value trade goods because everyone needs waterproof material. Many bungee cords and zip ties become essential because everyone needs to secure something. Foam tableware becomes valuable because hygiene matters and water is scarce. Aluminum trays become crucial because people need to cook and purify water. Garden hose segments become useful because everyone faces unique problems that need flexible solutions. Even duct tape cores become worthwhile because fire starting never stops being important. When you stock up on these items, you're not just preparing for personal survival, you're building a trade inventory. You're creating leverage. You're positioning yourself to help others while also securing resources for your family. This isn't about exploitation. This is about community resilience. When you have items that solve problems, you can build alliances. You can form mutual aid networks. You can trade for things you don't have by offering things you do. This is what the smart prepper understands. It's not enough to have gear for yourself. You need surplus. You need tradable goods that are lightweight, useful, and desirable.
A backpack full of dollar store items, tablecloths, bungees, zip ties, foam tableware, aluminum trays, hose segments, and cardboard cores could be worth more than gold in the right circumstances, because these items solve immediate daily problems. This shifts how you think about prepping. Instead of just asking, what do I need? Start asking, what will others need that I can provide? That's how you become valuable in a collapse scenario. That's how you build security through community instead of trying to survive alone. So here's what you do today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. Go to your local dollar store. Walk those aisles with new eyes. Grab plastic tablecloths. Grab mini bungee cord packs. Grab zip ties. Grab foam plates and cups. Grab aluminum baking trays. Check your garage for old garden hoses. Save your duct tape cores instead of throwing them away. Stash these items in multiple locations. Put some in your go bag. Put some in your vehicle emergency kit. Put some in your home supply closet. Diversify your storage so that if you're forced to leave quickly, you're not losing everything. But don't just store them, practice with them. Use a plastic tablecloth to set up an improvised shelter in your backyard. See how well it blocks wind and rain. Use mini bungees to organize gear in your car. Get familiar with how they work under tension. Cook a meal on an aluminum tray over a fire pit. Learn its limitations before you're depending on it for survival. Cut up an old garden hose and see how many different applications you can find. Use duct tape cores as fire starters on your next camping trip. The more you practice with these items in low-stakes situations, the more confident you'll be when the stakes are real. And here's the most important part. Train your eye. Start looking at everything in your home, your garage, your workplace through a survival lens. What else are you overlooking? What other everyday items have multiple uses? What else could be repurposed when disaster strikes? The more you develop this mindset, the more prepared you become without spending a dime. Most people won't do this. Most people will watch this video, think, that's interesting, and then go back to scrolling. They'll keep waiting for the perfect moment to start prepping. They'll keep putting it off. And when disaster actually strikes, they'll be caught unprepared, wishing they'd acted when they had the chance. Don't be most people.
The difference between someone who survives and someone who doesn't isn't luck, it's preparation. And preparation doesn't require thousands of dollars or military training. It requires seeing opportunity where others see trash. It requires recognizing that a dollar store plastic tablecloth can save your life, while someone else's $500 tactical tent fails in the rain. Versatility beats fashion every time. Versatility beats specialization. Adaptability beats acquisition. These aren't just survival principles, they're life principles. When you understand that the value of an item isn't determined by its price tag, but by its utility in your specific situation, you've made a fundamental shift in thinking that will serve you in every crisis you face. The 7 items we've covered today, plastic tablecloths, mini bungee cords, zip ties, foam tableware, aluminum baking trays, garden hoses, and duct tape cores, aren't exotic survival gear. They're not tactical. They're not impressive, but they work. And when the lights go out and help isn't coming, working is all that matters. So take action. Start small. Start cheap. Start today. Build your dollar store survival kit. Practice using these items. Share this knowledge with people you care about, because when the crisis hits, and it will hit, you'll either be ready or you'll regret every moment you wasted. If you found this video valuable, do me a favor and hit that like button. Subscribe to Crisis Horizon so you don't miss our next deep dive into real-world survival strategies. Drop a comment and let me know which of these 7 items surprised you most, or share your own dollar store survival finds. Remember, survival isn't about tactical fantasies. It's about what actually works when everything falls apart. Stay smart, stay prepared, and we'll see you in the next video.